Welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live conversation web television, where each and every one of you who are watching can participate simply by clicking on a button, sending a participation request, and we would love to hear your comments on the conversations we are having. Well, it started off as a row over the lack of qualifications of Smriti Irani and whether she was deserving of being an HRD minister. Then it snowballed into a larger issue, the issue of the discrepancies in the affidavits filed in 2004 and 2014 for Lok Sabha, the nominations for the Lok Sabha candidacy. Take a look.
It all began with a Madhu Kishwar tweet on Tuesday, where the journalist took on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decision to appoint Smriti Irani as the Human Resource Development Minister, despite her merely being 12th pass. In her affidavit, Irani has mentioned that she did join a BA course but was unable to complete her studies. This led to a big debate on social media as well as in political circles, where the opposition Congress made jibes at the new government. But the larger debate is whether a fancy degree really matters when it comes to performance. The ball is now in the new HRD minister's court to put the debate to an end with a good performance.
All right, so to join us on the conversation, I have with me in the studio Ijaz Ilmi, BJP leader. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I also have in the studio N.R. Mohanty, who is the director of the Jagran School of Mass Communication. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohanty, for joining. Also joining us online is Kanishka Sinha. Kanishka Sinha is the head of research and development of Stillwater Consulting of Mumbai. Kanishka, welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Great. All of you can also write into us, send us your posts on www.indiapostlive.com. Please give us your audio messages, your video messages. We will be very happy to play them. And also, please just send us a participation request. If you have anything to say, you know who our guests are, you know we are having a conversation on this, and let's carry on the conversation through the portal. Also, send us your tweets, hashtag IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. All right, so let's start the conversation. First of all, let me get Ijaz Ilmi. Your first comments, this entire controversy that has happened. Of course, Smriti Irani has finally broken her silence and she has appealed to people to let her work speak for herself as a minister.
I think it's very early to be so judgmental, but unfortunately, the Congress really hasn't learned its lessons. The ability to create a storm in a teacup where it doesn't really matter. And the fact is, invariably, you create a storm in a teacup and the resultant tsunami as a backlash decimates you. It's a similar thing. Her qualifications, what are the real qualifications? The capacity to deliver, the ability to crystallize expert advice into public policy and communicate effectively the policy initiatives. These are the requirements. A leader with compassion for the masses, a leader with the capacity to deliver, a leader who can crystallize thoughts of experts into actual policy. These are the driving forces, and one has to give time for a leader like Smriti Irani to deliver. And I think just calling her various things and tweeting about her education qualifications is not, it's really doing injustice.
The controversy was raised by someone who herself, Madhu Kishwar, has been a very vocal supporter of Narendra Modi, and she herself tweeted, on this issue. Mr. Mohanty, what are your thoughts on that?
You see, issue is earlier Congress was in power, whatever does BJP would attack and Congress would say what BJP had done. Now exactly the BJP is doing the same.
Absolutely,
Nobody is questioning, even if a fellow like Ajay Matten does it. Ajay Matten himself was at the receiving end, Swaminathan Iyer, when he had tweeted. A Hansraj college student, what English does he know? Hansraj, because Ajay Matten had written a statement how sports ministry under Swaminathan Iyer had created obstacles in the progress of sports in India, and he had put it in certain words, and Swaminathan Iyer, Manishankar Iyer, very jocularly said, कि I cannot think Desabandhu college, some college student can write this kind of English. So he was saying,
Yes, I remember that.
because he's a
Yes.
St. Stephen student.
I want to add to what Mohit
And
said.
that he was at the receiving end.
Yes.
So his tweet is meaningless. But if Madhu Kishore, what is now BJP talking? Even some BJP inspired
No, but you know the
television anchors are saying it's absolutely rubbish to say you need to have a certain degree of qualification.
Fine. Even
Qualification is immaterial. It's a question. What is material? She has lied on oath.
she has
That
lied
is
under
what
oath.
is material.
That is the bigger issue.
That is an electoral issue. We
Yes.
have laws concerning that.
Yes.
And that obviously, as and when complaints are made, the election, the RPA Act is very clear on certain things. This matter is obviously, I'm sure somebody in the Congress or somebody else in the academia will take it up in the court. But the larger issue is, I feel, is trying to prejudge and presuppose.
We are concerned with the limited issue. Why
No,
should a BJP minister has told lies on affidavit, on oath? That's the primary issue.
That issue.
That is not limited. That is the specific
No, because
issue.
she has refused to comment on
The
that.
entire Twitter controversy has been about her qualifications.
Yes,
And
that
this
it
has
has.
come as an aftermath.
Qualifications immaterial.
No, that-
Somebody,
No, because yesterday, let me-
Das Gupta may compare her to Rabindranath Tagore.
Yes, that-
Rabindranath Tagore.
that has also
Smriti
got-
Irani and Rabindranath Tagore. Doesn't matter. I don't even get into that comparison.
You don't want to get
What
into that,
I
but the
want
controversy.
I want to say someone telling lies on oath, that's a disgrace.
But your loud fulminations in the studio out here doesn't solve the issue. This issue is obviously headed for the courts, and I'm sure Smriti Irani will put forward.
That's what
a
we are
case.
debating. That's what we are
Absolutely.
debating.
But what I'm trying to say is, rather than
No,
Tuji case was also there in court. Why were you fulminating in the television channels?
there's no need to-
Why were you fulminating?
There's no need
They
to
were also
fulminate.
in the case, in the court cases. The court will take a decision on this.
I think it's too early to judge these issues, and I would like to say something very clearly to.
No, but you know what happens is.
There's no question of judgment. It's absolutely
Mr. Mohanty,
crystal clear.
let me just let me bring in Kanishk, who's joining us from Mumbai. Okay, very very strongly worded statements from both my guests here. The issue is not just limited to whether her lack of qualifications or whatever education Smriti Irani has, but the issue has become a larger issue about the two different affidavits that were filed in 2004 and 2014. What are your thoughts, Kanishk?
Let me leave that issue of the affidavit. I think that's a bigger question about when politicians do lie. In general, what accountability is this? I think that's a big question. I think with respect to Ms. Irani's educational qualification or capability, I think the reason people have questions about her capability is because we don't know her capability. We don't know on the plank of what are the issues, what are her ideas,
Right.
and what's happening is politicians, they're getting elected not on the basis of this is my economic policy, this is my education policy, these are my views on defense, etc. It's basically just on personality. So the reason why we're having such a tough time figuring out whether she's capable or not capable is because we don't know what her views are, and so that's what I think is the bigger issue, that personality-based issues rather than actually policy issues are what's deciding whether people come. And so the questions that people are asked are pointless things about whether she was, an actress or this. Really, what are her issues? What are the policy decisions that she wants to implement? That's what I would like to know.
Because, I would just like to add to this, people would obviously compare Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, who was HRD minister in the NDA regime. When you talk of qualifications, there is a natural comparison that will come in.
You're absolutely right. But we have a young demographic dividend of a young India. We have a younger cabinet, so you can't hold that against the Prime Minister for choosing his team. It's his prerogative. On the flip side, we've seen what the UPA and its various fancy elitist ministers have done. They've converted, with their statements, Oxford became obnoxious and Harvard became awkward. So we've seen that. We've seen that happen.
That is what Congress spokesmen were doing it
Yes.
in the
We've seen
television
that.
channels,
We've seen
and now
that.
BJP people are
We've
doing
seen
it.
that. So it's best to give her time and space.
By attacking the opposition party. reflect on facts.
The fact is that you have to give her time to.
Fact is that she has lied on oath.
Yesterday.
Fact is she has lied on oath.
You and me can't decide that in the studio. It has to go to the court, and somebody will take it to the court, and there is due procedure to.
So that is what A. Raja was saying. I have not done anything wrong. The court will decide.
Mr. Mohanty, just because.
Why are you talking about in the television channels that Congress is corrupt? Congress is corrupt.
Just
court will give the
ultimately, court will give a verdict.
So why did you judge in the television channels?
No, but you see,
your flailing of limbs and your vituperative attack will not solve the issue. You are not here as a judge, jury, executioner.
No, wait. Let me bring Kanishka back. Let me bring Kanishka. You know,
this is the
at that
plight
point
of these politicians.
At
This character, this Congress lot, where the same hopeless, corrupt, and liars and the BJP lot is exactly the same.
There is no
So
charge of
you're-
corruption on the BJP
No,
government.
are you-
What has
Government-
Hyderabad done? What has
Mr.
Hyderabad done?
Monty.
Hyderabad gone to jail.
Mr. Monty, one second. Let's let this is
people-
getting. No,
you
no.
want
Let's
it-
not
the people
shout.
of
Let's
India-
not have a
the
shouting
people
match.
of India have given the mandate. You don't want to respect it. Don't respect it. I want to respect it,
No,
and
no.
the world will respect it.
No,
So
okay. Let's
people
not.
of India also give mandate to criminals.
You want to
Let's
isolate
not-
yourself from the mandate? That's your problem.
No. Let's
No one
not. Let's
isolates
not.
mandate.
Accept the mandate. You are not the last word on the mandate. The people are the
Mr.
last
Monty,
word.
Mr. Okay, let's not get let this not be a shouting
Yes.
match here. Let's talk like rational,
Absolutely,
thinking individuals. Kanish, let me. Kanish is smiling. Kanish, let me. Are you smiling? Are you laughing? Anyway, let me.
I'm smiling quietly.
Smiling quietly. Okay, let's get a sane voice. Let's get a sane view from you. You just, initially when we talked, you refused to get into the issue of the affidavit. But I think it is an issue which needs to be probably, brought out because, when a minister, a newly appointed minister, right after her appointment, when these things come out in the media, that there have been two different affidavits and that she has misrepresented herself and her education qualifications, obviously there seems to be some kind of a doubt in people's minds that, okay, who is this leader and should we trust her? So let's talk about that issue. Though, let me again tell you that yesterday on a television show, Soli Saurabhji, former Advocate General, said exactly what Mr. Mohanty said, that educational qualifications does not matter in terms of performance. However, the issue is larger. Please, let's discuss the issue of the affidavits. Kanishka.
Right. And the most troubling sign is whenever there is a question of any minister, it's referred to the courts. I don't understand why she doesn't have an immediate press clarification, because whether she did or she didn't, she knows what she did, and she clarified all these issues literally in 1 minute on TV, saying, yes, this is what I did, but this is this is a misunderstanding. Why is it that it's referred to a court and it will take 6, 7 months, a year, 2 years to kind of resolve? Then the public forgets about it. There's no accountability to the public. What I would like to see is Smriti Irani, coming on TV and saying, yes, I made a mistake, or no, this is a misunderstanding. This is a clarification.
Right. She chose to keep quiet about it. Exactly. That's a very nice, very valid point that Kanishka has raised. She did say that I request the people to judge me on my work, but she chose to keep quiet on this entire issue. Do you think it would have been better if she had come out and said, all right, I was pursuing it then, did not follow it up, or whatever it is really? Do you think it would have been better if she had come out in the open?
I guess she will at some stage come out because there are enough questions being raised, and I'm sure with the Congress spokesperson and various other people were extremely agitated about it, and they will pursue it in the courts. She will at some stage come out with her own version as to the discrepancies in the affidavit, which is being aired on Twitter and aired everywhere else. So we'll get to the bottom of that, and that is something that can't be decided here. What I'm trying to understand is this entire storm regarding whether she was qualified or not. That really was hitting below the belt and was something that should have been avoided.
That storm seems to have subsided.
Qualification is not an issue at all. Qualification is absolutely not an issue. Issue is, 5 years ago, she was a graduate. And 5 years later,
10 years
she
ago.
is 2004, 2009?
2004.
2009?
No, I think, no, it's 2004.
Is it 2004?
Yeah, 2004.
2004, she was a graduate, and 2014, I am only part 1 pass. If you would have been in reverse, then your logic that I was pursuing it
Yes.
and I could not do it, that would have worked.
Okay.
But in 2004, you were saying you are already a graduate. And 2014, you were saying you are doing you're done on the first year pass.
Could it be, I'm asking from a very human point of view, Kanishk, tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think 10 years back, she was 10 years younger? Do you think at that point she felt the need to justify her entering politics using education or a kind of degree as a tool? And now do you think that she has gained political acumen and she feels the need to? Do you think she should come out in the open if any of that had happened? And do you think the people will actually move on over this issue?
For me personally, I don't know about people in general, but if I was young, I was under pressure, and I exaggerated on my CV. It was a mistake and I'm sorry, I would just completely ignore it. But I think what's more concerning is when somebody represents such a big ministry,
exactly,
they just ignore it and they basically say to the public, we're not going to answer your question, we're just going to hope you forget it. And that's a trend we've seen in the politicians, which upsets and annoys me as a member of the public.
Do you think Smriti Irani can show more bravado and come out and say, I'm sorry, but this is what happened. I was young and I thought maybe I should say I'm a graduate, because she's holding a ministerial post. She's holding a cabinet post.
I totally understand your question. You must understand that I'm in no position to issue a statement on behalf of any minister, including Smriti Irani. That is something.
But as your party, as a member of the party, you understand it is an embarrassment.
It is an embarrassment in terms of this issue being raised, and the person in question has to address that issue herself. That is the situation. As far as party is concerned, it has immense faith in her capacity, in her compassion towards work, and an ability to crystallize her thoughts and channelize expert advice into public policy. And then she's shown by her sheer dint of hard work that she has it in her to deliver the goods as far as the mandate is concerned.
Of course, whether the NDA has it in it to deliver the goods, of course, only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
It's probably too early.
Yes.
But this entire issue has, taken up the Twitter world, of course, by storm. Let's take a look at some of the Twitter responses that we have got. Let's bring that up on the screen for you. Some of the Twitter responses. In fact, Omar Abdullah had a very interesting tweet to say, of course, okay, let's take a look at Ajay Maken first. HRD minister is not even a graduate. Look at her affidavit. All right, that is what Ajay Maken has said, which Mr. Mohanty, you in fact reacted to, of course. Digvijay Singh has said, Modi chooses Smriti Irani over Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi. That was what I was asking you then, Ijaz. Okay. And we also have, yes, this is very interesting. He says, Omar Abdullah says, to say that someone needs to be educated. Later he clarified, educated is in terms of, in terms of degrees. Says that one needs to be a pilot for civil aviation or a miner for coal ministry.
I don't think so. You need to have...
He has come out in support of Smriti Irani. Pallam Raju has said she's lucky that HRD ministry has a set of dedicated and hardworking officers who would be a great asset to her. It's almost like a condescending kind of an approach, perhaps.
No, he's shown a bit of sagacity, unlike the sanctimonious pontification which you see from a lot of people like Mr. Markin and what Manishankar Iyer are used to doing these days. But it's a very important issue, and I'm sure she'll come out at some stage and address it. The fact is that we in the studio can discuss, deliberate, scream and shout, and indulge in personal slander and slanging. That really won't solve the issue. She's come out after 2 days on please judge me by my performance, and the party has immense faith in her ability to deliver whichever portfolio she's given.
All right.
Now, coming to the legal aspect of the affidavits, it's a question that she has to answer herself, and I'm sure in due course we'll get an answer for that.
All right. You've been quiet for very long. Are you sticking to your stand that it is just turning into out to be the same thing as had happened in the UPA government also?
The whole question is, this is exactly what, as you said, Madhu Tishwar award Modi follower says this issue, that why should someone tell a lie on oath? The BJP is trying to say it's an issue of a debate of the qualification. I think for all you know, Smriti Irani may prove to be one of the finest education ministers. And the first thing I liked about her, the first day she says that I will strive to make the HRD budget 6% of our entire budgetary strength. That's a demand for last 60 years. No minister has succeeded, no government has done it.
Yes.
And if Smriti Irani does it, she would do a great service to the education of
So
this
are you
country.
trying to say that we should move on beyond this issue? And let me bring in somebody who's just joined us in the conversation, Chandni. Chandni, welcome to the conversation. Chandni is a student with IP University. She is a future leader, perhaps, that we will know, time will tell. Chandni, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Chandni, your thoughts on this entire controversy that is snowballing into something that could be troublesome for the new HRD minister?
You know what? I personally believe that we are drifting towards the wrong direction. So, discussing about her not being educated or her presenting a degree or a CV, whatever, I believe we should not drift towards that direction and move towards the point of seeing that whether in future she would come up with new policies and improvement
Okay,
for us.
Chandni,
Because
you...
what matters is the personal experiences one goes through. The bookish knowledge or the education we pursue in our universities and college, trust me, they do not provide you with any kind of reality. You don't encounter reality till the time you come in the outside in the open world.
All right. Okay,
So
Chandni, you are a student. Okay, Ijaz will pose your question. Before that, can I just get her reaction to this? You are a student yourself. Tell us quickly, what are you studying?
Masters in English from IP University.
You're doing a master's in English. As a student yourself, what are your expectations from the minister? What do you think? You talked of policy. What are the changes you would like to see in the education system in India? Very quickly, then Ijaz wants to ask you a question.
I want education system in India should more believe upon the recruitment. I would want any kind of changes in the recruitment system, basically, and education system to be more on practical knowledge.
Okay, you were asking her something.
What I wanted to say further to what she said, obviously she's the one who represents the young India and the aspiring India.
Yes.
What is very important to understand from what she's saying is, sometimes what we really learn, and when you come to the real world, you need to unlearn everything that you learn to be fit enough for the job that you aspire for. Because 80% of the engineers who pass out in India can't get jobs straight away because they need a bridge course or an adjuvant in terms of skills and upgradation to actually qualify for jobs. These are issues which are afflicting the nation.
Let me get the reaction of someone who is an educationer himself, the director of a school of mass comm, Mr. Mohanty. Do you agree with what Chandni and Ijaz are saying?
No, Ajay said it's very much possible. I do not think even Pallam Raju, who was a predecessor of
Smriti Irani.
Smriti Irani, had doctorate from American universities. I met him, extremely suave, very articulate. But what did he do for the education of the country? Look at the condition in which he put the UGC, look at the universities, everything is defunct, cesspool of corruption.
No, that's
so big degrees do not necessarily make you great.
I agree with you.
We are agreeing on something. Wonderful.
No, I agree. Ultimately,
no, both of you have been agreeing on that one point.
It's the policy that drives. It's the ability to crystallize your capacity into real and your capability into public policy and take the initiatives of experts.
But no one can have a greater educational qualification than Manmohan Singh. But what did he bring the country to? So it's not a question of a great education qualification does not necessarily make you a great
degrees
leader.
after a name.
Great visionary.
It's the political will and the collective leadership. And don't forget, the last 10 years, the Congress, the entire debate was, don't ask us what we did. And they had non-issues after non-issues and the secularism, communism debate. Nobody wanted to be accountable for what you did. Now the fact is, ultimately, that is what matters. Political accountability of your performance of your job is the ultimate requisite which the public wants to know. You've got the mandate to perform on the basis of development and you crystallize your thoughts. And you have to give Smriti Irani definitely time, and she's asking for that, which is a very good way to start. If you start from day one criticizing her on her performance, that would be highly unfair. On the issue of the affidavits, I'm sure she'll come out very soon.
Chandni, you are aware of this controversy regarding the 2004, where, let me clarify, in fact, you were asking, she contested from Chandni Chowk in Delhi, and that is when in 2004 she had said she's BA 1996 Delhi University, School of Correspondence. And
sure,
then now in 2014,
Or
that's what.
2009. I
That's,
think it was 2009.
No, she contested 2004.
she contested Chandni Chowk in 2004, and then in 2014 she said that she is Bachelor of Commerce, Part 1, a School of Open Learning. So,
She contested as a 28-year-old. Huh?
yeah. She contested, which is why I was bringing in that issue of a young politician who wanted probably a stamp.
That thought could be.
It's very personal, but
that thought could be there. But don't forget what also happens. A lot of these young politicians, a lot of youngsters, I know some people in my family also, when they file affidavits, they go to CAs and you're running out last minute, you get a ticket, you're told last minute you have to file your papers in 24 hours, 48 hours, and you depend on chartered accountants, other politicians, lawyers. Discrepancies and mistakes do happen out here.
But she should come out and admit her mistake, is what everybody is saying. You know?
I've had personal experiences. I know of people who gave very good affidavits and they missed out two crucial points, and they could be held accountable. So these things do happen. But I'm not saying I can't represent her. But it's for her to say it herself.
Even Narendra Modi had not mentioned about his wife in the first earlier affidavits. He mentioned it this time.
But I'm so glad the Congress made that into an issue, and they were given a resounding slap and a sharp knock on the knuckles.
Why Congress?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the
Again,
problem with politicians. Yes. Whenever any issue, ask, discuss, and see it from the perspective of citizens of the country.
Yes.
It's not. Congress is a damned organization. Congress reaction is
It is a
not
grand old party of
important.
India, sir.
But for any citizen also to probe into the personal life is also something that...
That's an affidavit that you do. It's a public document.
Absolutely.
It's not a private
See,
life.
when you
So the
enter a
public at large
public
rejected
life,
that.
when you enter a
Absolutely.
public life,
That's a public domain because Supreme Court had given the judgment against the ganging up of Congress, BJP and CPM. All parties are ganged up against Supreme Court judgment.
see, when you enter a public life, your life, whether as a politician, whether as a film star, you know, your life is open to scrutiny by the public.
I totally understand. If you're in the hot seat, you have to
Absolutely.
answer. If you can't stand the
Absolutely.
heat, get out of the kitchen.
Absolutely.
But in this scenario, she is capable, she is equipped, she has the capacity to crystallize her thoughts into public policy initiatives. And what I'm trying to say, on the affidavits, it's something that Dr. Smriti Irani will answer herself.
Right. Okay, Chandni, do you think you will be able to very easily move on if Smriti Irani, gives some kind of a clarification regarding the discrepancy or the mistake, or whether it was deliberate but it was a mistake and she apologizes? Do you think you will be able to move on and value?
I truly think so, because being at the position that she is right now, I believe she will have to come in public and talk about the mistake and the discrepancies that are happening regarding the qualifications and everything, and she will have to come and open and apologize to people and then go on and prove herself through her movement, through her gestures.
Right. Okay. We have some tweets coming in, and let me read them out for you. And your tweets are most welcome. Very interesting tweets I've got here. We have one tweet saying, will a rickshawala want to become the CEO of Mercedes? No doubt, if experience is everything and not qualification, I want to become the CEO of Wipro. Quite a few, these are very angry tweets. Sweet liar, somebody calls her. Look at our new ministers. Most of them are Bollywood, TV, Saas Bahu celebrities. Incredible India.
But that's a bit too much. She's qualified, she's a Rajya Sabha MP, she's a vice president. We've seen her communicate in the party and elsewhere. In fact, all the Bollywood types, all the Bollywood members of parliament like Vinod Khanna, Hema Malini, Dharmendra, you have Manoj Tiwari, you have Paresh Rawal, they're not part of the ministry. So this tweet, it falls flat on his head.
All right. And somebody is saying that, I'm thinking that though degree holders are struggling for dream job, they waste time in education. So, you have various kind of tweets coming in here. All right. Should the government remove eligibility criteria? as far as education is concerned? I mean, there is a question here. But what is the criteria really?
There's no criteria.
There is no criteria, exactly.
In fact, 25% of parliament is class 12th pass.
Right,
So-
exactly.
Rabri Devi was illiterate. She did not sign her own name.
We will have to get back on these tweets, and we will have to clarify, and all those of you who've
Even
tweeted.
Uma Bharti is class 6 pass.
Yeah.
fail, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Kanish, let me quickly get your last comments. We have to wrap up the conversation. Of course, that will continue on the website. But your last comments on this issue.
I have 4 points to make, and I'll make them very quickly. The
Yes.
first one is her lack of experience in this area. I don't think gets in the way, because she could figure out, hey, what were the pressures on me that stopped me from doing the further thing? She has experience in saying, hey, when the education system fails, what do I wish the education system would have provided to somebody like me to make it work, and I would have gone further. That's one point. The second thing is, the reason that the education system doesn't work is because of vested interests, and so integrity of our ministers is really important. I'd like to see her being honest and saying this is what happened or this is what didn't.
Right.
I think it's not okay for BJP to say I can't speak on their behalf or whatever it is. The BJP as a party needs to say, hey, okay, this is one of our members. We will speak to her and we will get you an answer by now. This is a conversation that literally takes 10 minutes to sort out. So I do not understand why they cannot say, we will get back to you with this time with our clarification.
Right.
And final point, and perhaps the most important point that I feel, is how can somebody get elected to the position of HRD minister having articulated no thought about what the education policy is? The BJP has been in the opposition for 10 years, criticizing all policies. Why is it that now they're starting to crystallize? They've had 10 years to think, these are the things broken in the education system, this is what needs to happen. Why is it that they've just been fighting on the basis of personalities? Now they're here after 10 years, and it's like, okay, now let's start thinking about what were they doing in 10 years in opposition.
Right. I think, Kanishka, that's a very valid point that you have raised, and I'm sure Ijaz Almi will take back those thoughts to his party. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Let me quickly get Chandni. Chandni, thank you so much once again for joining the conversation. Very quickly, your last thoughts. Do you see a modified new education policy now over the next few years?
Yes, I do hope that happens.
Okay. You talked of recruitment, but what about, the other issues as far as teaching itself is concerned? I mean, it takes time for new syllabus to be made and all of that. So how quickly do you think this government will, get its act together and perform as far as the education sector is concerned?
I'm looking forward to it because it would be too early to speak about it, I believe.
All right.
I know it does take time to see about the syllabus and everything to take shape, but then it's like it totally depends upon how fast they move. So
All right.
basically, all of us are having an eye on it.
Yeah.
We'll hope that she moves really fast.
All right. Thank you so much, Chandni. Let me get very quickly your last thoughts on this conversation.
This is the young India you're talking about. What is important is the thought is not that the government must start working from tomorrow. The government should have started working as of yesterday. And let me assure you, they hit the ground running.
What Kanishka pointed out, 10 years they had to really think of what they would do when they came to.
No, but there's a little bit of a misrepresentation out here. The BJP in its manifesto very clearly spoke about the ills plaguing the system and what they need to do with the education policy. It's very much there. And the fact is, for the first time, you have the collective sense of responsibility, and there's no excuse for policy paralysis, and there's no excuse that we have obstacles or compulsions of coalition otherwise.
All right.
You have to perform, and that's the only way out.
All right. So that is Ijaz Ilmi promising you, Kanishk. I hope you're satisfied with that. The conversation, of course, will continue on the portal. Mr. Mohanty, very quickly, your last thoughts.
Actually, there should be a kind of a system of a shadow cabinet where you have the policies on hand.
Yes.
The only clear policy that we know of the BJP government is that they will not support FDI in retail.
Right.
Beyond that, all generalities, what he talks about manifestos, the manifesto of
So we'll have to wait
2014,
and see.
2009, 2004 are same.
All right,
Manifesto,
all
only
right.
change of words.
The conversation continues on www.indiapostlive.com. I would like to thank both my studio guests. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Kanishk, and thank you so much, Chandni, for joining the conversation. Please leave your posts, your audio and video comments, your tweets on hashtag IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. This is a debate, of course, that has scope of many more thoughts coming in. Let's continue the conversation on the portal. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
This car